everybody. Thanks for tuning in with another cruise of smooth. Hope y'all are doing okay today. Had a very long week so far, and it ain't over yet. Overtime's been accumulating daily at work, which, when you consider the commute that I've got, just makes for a really long day. And then on top of that, I had a very difficult time getting to sleep this morning when I got home, so overslept. I left a couple minutes late. Before I get into what's on my mind today, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, comment, rate, notification bell, cowbell, all those things. I'd love to hear from you guys. Get a show that, a topic that you want to hear about. Might even do a show on it. Even if it's something I'm unfamiliar with, I will gladly look up enough to research it. So, it is Valentine's Day. And I don't get to do Valentine's Day stuff due to the fact it falls on a work day, which sucks. There's a funeral in town today. Funeral parking lot is over full. Wow. But my wife, so it's Valentine's Day today. I'm not going to get to do anything with my wife on Valentine's Day, but we do have plans to go out at some point over the weekend and have a meal together somewhere. Don't know where or what just yet, but I know it's going to happen. Love is a crazy thing. In my unprofessional, unexpert opinion. Love will make anybody look past the faults of their significant other till they're crazy. I'm not talking about my wife, I'm talking about my ex and her ex, oddly enough. But I think one of my favorite love stories comes from my dad's parents, my grandma and papa, on that side of the family. I think I already told in one episode how they met at a USO show. She was out dancing, he's in his dress uniform, and a new song comes on, she spins around, sees him, and says, "I think this is our dance." And sure enough, it was. And they kept in touch through the war and got married after the war. Well, one of the stories about my grandparents that I don't believe that I told y'all. My dad, when he was born with 2 heart defects. medical science had not caught up to his need. So there literally was no way to fix him. He had a slightly deformed aorta that was restricting blood flow, and then he had a hole in the heart between the chambers that was allowing oxygenated and unoxygenated blood to mix. Walking a distance of 50 to 60 feet would wind him so much to the point he'd have to stoop down to make it easier for his heart to pump to reoxygenate everything. He had his first surgery at the age of 8, when cutting edge medical science had just barely caught up with what he needed done. He had another surgery at 14. My grandparents stayed together through all that, through having a kid that was that sickly. But during the years they were together, and they were together up till my grandfather died, they only had one argument. And they have no idea what it was about, which means it was either A, so stupid they wouldn't admit it, or B, something so stupid caused it that they don't even remember what they were arguing about. I had a theory, and my dad agreed with me. They lived on the same property that I live on now, and they lived in two different houses on that same property. There was a older log cabin on the property, and they built a more modern house a number of years ago. Well, if I had to guess, when they built that modern house and they were starting to walk furniture and furnishings from place to place, my granddad came home after a long day out working and sweating and carrying on, and just, whew, man, what a day. And then my grandmother greeted him with, "Do you have any idea what went on at this house?" And that's how the argument started. No one was being a jerk to the other one. They were both just spent. And my dad said that it's as plausible a theory as any. And I kind of tend to think it was either something really stupid, or they both just had a bad day and started in on each other. But they were a syrupy, sweet, cute old couple when I was a kid. I remember my granddad, he would walk up behind my grandmother in the kitchen, and he was in his 70s at this point, and he'd give her a hug from behind and kiss the side of her head. She was way shorter than he was. And they were just adorable to watch. That they had spent that many years around each other and hadn't driven each other totally crazy except for each other. I'll tell you another funny thing that used to happen. When I was a teenager slash young adult, still live with my parents. And we lived at the time on the second biggest road in the small to medium sized town where I grew up at. Now this town is not like where I live now. Where I live now, it's a one stoplight town, and it's incredible. This town had multiple stoplights, had a police force of more than one, Walmart, mall, all sorts of restaurants. So it was way bigger than where I live at now. Well, anyway, when I was a teen, my parents used to do it. They would go outside. Dad had a pickup truck at the time. It's mine now. And they would set the tailgate down and just watch traffic drive past out in front of the house on that busy road, holding each other's hands and talking. And there were some times they got some of the strangest darn looks. And there were other times that, like, I'd be home and wouldn't be up to nothing, and I had a big SUV, but I'd park it beside my dad's truck and set below the lift gate of my SUV. Sitting there talking with them. And there'd be times that I'd come home and they'd be sitting down on the tailgate just hanging out talking. I always thought that was kind of cute because they were in their late 40s to early 50s at that point in time. So I always thought it was cute to watch them together too. So anyway, I know this is kind of not typical. I had the idea about talking a little on Valentine's last night when I was heading home from work. Didn't have time to. Oh, the school bus was about to run a stop sign. Didn't really have time to get my thoughts together on it, but thought I'd just share a couple of the cuter stories that I remember from when I was a kid, looking at my parents and grandparents. In case you're wondering, my grandparents on my mother's side were split up. My granddad on my mom's side, my papa, he was an alcoholic when my mother was younger, and popping in and out, drying up long enough to want it again. And so he wasn't around real much. She divorced him. He got together with another woman who was just a mean old woman, according to my mother. Never met her. And then by the time I came around, he was single and living better part of a state away. It was a several-hour jaunt to get down there. And my grandmother on my mom's side had already passed away before I was even thought about. I think she died in 85. years later. So I never met her. And my papa, we'd go down to see him, like we'd take weekend trips down there when I was a little kid. And then when I was I'm thinking about 5 or 6, he ended up in fairly bad health and moved in with us. And he lived there 2.5 or 3.5 years before he passed away. So I never got to see him when he was married or see him involved as a couple, but I thought it was just worth sharing. Anyway, I guess I'm done for the day. I'm running out of stuff to talk about, so hope everyone has a good Friday and Valentine's Day. If you love someone, make sure they know it. Make them laugh too. According to my granddad, she can't be mad at you if she's laughing. So, everyone have a good Valentine's Day, good Friday, and I'll be back next week. By the way, I do apologize about the delay in an upload. Yesterday was not a particularly great day for me at work, so I'll get it put up and get this one put up. So, y'all take care.